This is Quantum Flow Radio, organizing thought particles into a flow of collective consciousness.
Welcome, my friend.
It's good to be back, Earthling.
Earthling?
Yes.
What are you calling Earthling?
I'm calling you Earthling.
You are?
Yeah.
Aren't we all Earthlings?
Well, we are, but it kind of brings us into our topic today. Yes.
Yeah. See, stereotopics.
Stereotopics, yes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about UFOs.
That'd be a great word, stereotopic. How
Ooh,
come
stereotopic.
Nobody uses that word?
I don't know. It'd be a great name for a hi-fi store.
Yeah.
Too bad they don't have them anymore.
No, they don't. God, I'm sure missing
But
Radio Shack
name
these
for a
days.
band or something like that?
Band name would be awesome.
I might name
Stereotopic.
my spaceship that. What's it called? Stereotopic?
Stereotopic.
I love it. So
Yeah.
today we're going to talk about UFOs.
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 Yep.
Yes.
Simulated reality.
Lots of stuff we know nothing about.
Strange visitors from another place.
Well, we can speculate.
Yeah.
Right. Because information has come to us,
Mhm.
but we really don't know
No.
much about this.
No. We do have lots of evidence, though.
Could we pick a topic one week that we absolutely would know something about?
No.
Like, you know.
Because then
No.
we wouldn't do this show.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're all learning in this.
For the 10 listeners, this is quite a subject. And as soon as you mention UFO or simulation or simulated reality, you know,
Yeah.
ears perk up
They do.
because it's just fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I bet there are, Area 52 guys, Area 54 guys. Sorry.
I thought it was Area 51. I think you're.
51. I don't know.
I know it's not Area
yeah.
50 because that's how many states we have.
Yeah,
How many
it is.
cards in a deck?
It is
It's
52.
52.
Yeah.
See, you're.
I'm.
So it's 50
Yes.
states, Area 51, and 52 cards.
There you go. I'm just
Okay,
digitally
we're done.
challenged. Yeah. So the Area 51
I'm
thing
not
comes
taking you
up
to
out
Vegas
there and,
ever.
No, it's bad.
Sure.
It's really bad. The last time I went to Vegas, I first of all was in awe by the gargantuan size of everything.
Right. Did you see any UFOs out there, though?
No, well, you can't see anything because you're blinded by all the light.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
I
you,
was there a
Manfred
long
man.
I was there. I haven't been back too recently because I just know to stay away.
Yeah.
It's not my town anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, I would tell everybody what happened there, and you're not supposed to tell. So
No,
look
you
at me, always
can't.
going against the rules. I'm such a rebel.
Well, you know what? What stays there, or what happens there, stays there.
Well, supposedly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course, it's in every TV show, movie, and so we should probably talk about UFOs, maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. It would
so-
be though out there in Nevada, would be an awesome place for folks to land though.
Well, no, it is
Yeah.
Nevada. Because a lot of stuff happened in Nevada. I mean, that's where Area 54 is.
51.
51. It's car 54. That's it.
what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Okay, we got it all straight.
Now
And-
we're dated.
And then
Okay.
yeah, and double nickels is I can't drive.
Right.
55.
Yes.
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Hagar. I was doing Sammy Kershaw now. Oh my God, we're in serious trouble, and we haven't even drank anything yet.
No, maybe we should have.
We should have.
This show's unlike anything else, but hopefully you're still hanging in there because it's quite exciting to talk about this.
It is.
The
especially
question is
for both of us who have actually had UFO.
That's why
experience.
you're tuning in because we're going to talk about our personal UFO sightings. And I can tell you as the day is day and the night is night, I know what I saw. I don't, and it kind of goes against a lot of things that I've learned.
Right.
But
And who is
doesn't make-
anyone to question what you saw?
Yeah, yeah. But I guess the real question is, are we alone? And we're not going to take it from the aliens side. We talked a little bit about the Anunnaki and aliens and stuff, and
Yeah.
sure, maybe there are little green or gray men. I don't know. It kind of ties into it, but we're going to kind of just gear our discussion on UFOs and our personal sightings because we've both had them. But before we do that, maybe we will go through just a little history of the UFO phenomenon. Isn't that?
Are we starting with flying saucers?
Well, yeah. It's exactly right because the UFO, unidentified flying object, the phrase was coined in 1953, and it was basically the United States Air Force. But flying saucers or flying discs have actually been talked about through the 40s and the 50s, even before 53. And I know there was an incident where somebody was flying a plane, an airplane pilot, and he saw something and could have sworn that it was something that came up behind him and it moved in a manner that was unlike anything he had ever seen.
Yeah, and of course he was told to shut up about it and never speak a word.
Exactly. Yeah, he no longer talks about that.
Yeah.
But this is quite a few years ago. But many ufologists and people who study extraterrestrials are labeled conspiracy theorists because if you came at it and you talk about Nibiru or any of these planets or UFOs or
Planet
anything
X.
like this, yeah. But as crazy as it is, they've conditioned us to believe. So we'll get into what the agenda is, but have you ever seen this UFO TV? It was quite fascinating. Back in the day, I used to watch all that, and then Ancient Aliens came about, the show, and we've talked about
My
that.
buddy George.
Yeah, your buddy George. Yeah,
Aliens
with the beautiful hair.
Yes.
But there's many artifacts through history, and even to the point where you could look at some paintings and even some hieroglyphs that have been carved in stone.
Sure. Go all the way back to Egypt.
Exactly, where there's been indication that something's flying in the sky, something's coming from above, which is a common thread and a common story through many cultures.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because hence the flying thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it was coming from below,
well, it could be.
it would be a creepy crawly thing, unless it's coming out of North
Inner
or
Earth.
South poles. Yeah.
Yeah, or which
We've
who
already
knows?
done a show on that.
Well, but we didn't really drill down on if people are inhabiting these inner Earths. I mean, maybe they are, but
Or what's
how are they
coming in and going out.
Yeah, it could be some sort of UFO is just basically unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
And it kind of really started. It really mapped itself starting in 1947. You've heard of Roswell, New Mexico.
Obviously, yeah.
Everyone talks about Roswell.
Yep.
What happened was supposedly there was a crash of some unidentified flying object that crashed in the desert there, and supposedly it was a big cover-up.
Yeah.
And
some farmer found some residual parts, right?
And I think there was, I'm not sure if there's eyewitnesses or something, but indicating that there was a disc and that they actually saw bodies.
Yeah.
But there's no pictures, and there's very, very little accounting of it. They claim that it was a weather balloon that had crashed.
That's always a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
It's just
They have a
telling my wife
Rolodex
that
of
the other
answers.
day. There was something in the backyard. I said, it's a weather balloon.
Right.
Because if I told her it was
or a training exercise went off, and that's excuse.
Yeah.
But this really does kind of mark the beginning of where a lot of questions came about. Ironically, it was right here in the United States. So, where a lot of stories are made, made up.
Yeah.
But something happened. Definitely something happened. And we know that something might have been covered up. It could have been something that was a high technology that they didn't want out.
Right.
They've
Which
been
is
trying
still
to,
an unidentified flying object.
Exactly. See, that's the point. It can be possibly made by your own government.
Right.
Or who knows?
Yeah.
It's just unidentified. It doesn't mean it has to come from outer space or that aliens are flying in it, correct?
Correct. But
Right.
well, I mean, yes, correct. But in Roswell, in this particular event, there were multiple people that called phone numbers, called the police, called military. It called a lot of people.
It
saying
got out.
Something was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it got out. And to this day, I maybe some people, I mean, it's so long ago, anybody who witnessed it or was around at that time more than likely isn't around, or they're at a certain age right now where,
They want to live a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's like, I got a few more years left. No sense in coming out now and telling the truth.
Right.
But they've been conditioning us through movies and TV shows. Remember, like, they had My Favorite Martian and all this stuff?
Great show.
So,
I love that show.
Yeah, but,
Martin.
all of this it's almost like they want you to believe but not believe, or maybe condition you to believe and then call you crazy. I don't know, who's behind all this, but we do know that a lot happened in the late 50s Actually, between the 40s and the 50s. But
When was Roswell again? 49, you say?
Roswell was 47.
47, okay.
But what really happened was when NASA started, and I think that was 57.
Okay.
There's this guy named Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
He came from Germany.
I would have never guessed that.
No, of course not. But you know how like people say, "Oh, you are a rocket scientist." Well, he really was.
Yeah.
So being a rocket scientist, he came over with a lot of other scientists at this time, and they set up NASA, which is never a straight answer. No, excuse me. I mean National Aeronautics Space Association. How can I let
Or
that get out?
administration? Is it association?
Or association, whatever.
Whatever it is.
It's
Yeah.
NASA.
Yeah.
But there's something called Project Paperclip. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this is where they brought all this intellectual brain power over here to the United States to help us out.
Yep.
Meanwhile, I think a lot of stuff was brought here and immediately hidden. For what reason? I don't know.
Well, because it's bad for us to know that they've made that decision.
Well, there's a very serious question to be asked. If UFOs are real, it changes things dramatically. Where we came from, like what's out there.
Sure. Because they were first.
Yeah. Well, obviously. Yeah. I mean, and they may be here, monitoring us, so to speak, like we're an experiment.
We may very well be.
We may be. Yeah. Again, we're going to talk about simulation, that this may not even be real.
Right.
Real, but not real. A lot of interesting stuff. So, they set up house here in the late 50s. And then Kennedy so eloquently said, "Hey, we're going to the moon in 6 years."
Yeah.
And they went, "Really?"
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough time.
Yeah.
But they started, putting this together. But maybe we'll stop there and we'll back up a little bit, because there's a lot of cool things that are on the Earth that could tell us maybe there was some kind of UFO.
Yeah.
And certainly evidence of flying vehicles before maybe we even entered the air.
Yeah, and not only the evidence of flying vehicles, but also evidence that is left behind.
Correct.
By whatever it might have been, whether it was a flying vehicle or whether it was, an advanced civilization, whatever it might have been, we have lots of evidence scattered across the globe.
An example of this would be like the Nazca lines in Peru.
Right.
Okay. If you've never heard of the Nazca lines, just go Google it. NAZCA lines. It's in Peru. These are nothing short of amazing.
Right.
And I was
clearly having to have been done from space.
Well, yeah.
Or at least guided.
Somebody had to have knowledge of a lot more than maybe what we know or being told.
Yeah.
First of all, just what they are is they're pictures. I wouldn't even say pictures, but they're actually
glyphs, I guess.
Yeah, they're
hieroglyphs.
Hieroglyphs of animals, and I mean, there's birds and spiders and an owl and all these different types of animals
carved into the geography there,
carved into the earth in such a way. So, and these are huge. I mean, this is not, you cannot see these when you're on the ground. They're so big.
Right.
They just look like scattered lines. The other amazing thing is there's long lines, longer than you could imagine, just perfectly straight, carved into the earth.
Yeah.
So that's why they call them Nazca lines.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if it's kind of what you might draw, if you're in elementary to middle school.
Yeah.
It's of that quality.
Yep.
They're just lines.
It's massive.
Only that it's
ginormous.
it's huge, and it could have only been done with knowledge of maybe looking down on it from the sky.
Yeah, it looks very much like a landing strip in places.
Correct. So this gives evidence that maybe, if there were UFOs, maybe this was a landing place.
And part of the magic of the Nazca planes is the Nazca lines is that the location itself would first have to be selected for such an endeavor, right?
Right.
So how do you find something like that from the ground? That's a question I've not been able to have
Well, the
answered
question
yet.
is, who built these?
Yeah.
I mean, who made them?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because there are no locals there.
if there was any culture that had done it, there would have been some
Claim to it.
claim
Sure.
because it's so amazing.
Yeah.
And there's many monolithic artifacts across. We're not going to go through all of them, but the Nazca Lines really gives, of all the artifacts, this really kind of lines up with the UFO.
Yep.
I mean, you could talk about Stonehenge, but Stonehenge can just exist. It could have been built without any, without any knowledge of the skies. But
Right.
this, it definitely.
But can you imagine, like, when we change our clocks? Can you imagine the work that has to take place at Stonehenge?
Well, no, they have to. They have to move all the rocks and stuff.
Yeah, it's just God. What a chore.
That's why,
That's why it's become like the clock in your radio. Just leave it there for 6 months, and it'll be fine.
Or the clock in your car that you can't figure out how to change the hour forward or back, and you just leave it.
Exactly.
It's like, is it really 6? No, it's 5, or is it 7? I don't know. We should just leave it alone.
Yep, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry, I interrupted with with some.
No, it's
bad
probably the
humor.
most important point. So perhaps maybe we don't know if these are really coming from outer space.
Yep.
They could be made right here in America, which not much is made in America anymore. Maybe
Yeah.
it's from China.
Taiwan.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's where I think you can get a spaceship for less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fast.
Yeah. Faster. Yeah.
So with the monoliths that we talk about, or that you brought up,
Yeah.
these formations that are also scattered about everywhere with no apparent use. Somebody had plans for it.
They may be points on the Earth that are energy centers,
Mhm.
and again,
or
seen
location
from the sky.
or
Yeah,
locator points.
right. Obviously, the pyramid, which we talked about, is so huge and so magnificent that could be seen from space.
Yep.
At least we can assume it can be seen from
Directly
space.
in the center of the earth.
Right, and then we talked about all the synchronicities with the pyramids. This kind of lines up with that too.
Yeah.
If you knew about UFOs, you knew who created the Nazca Lines, you probably also would have knowledge of the pyramids and who built those too.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So
And being in Peru, we also have Machu Picchu there,
Machu Picchu,
which
right.
is still kind of unexplainable. The energy that is there is unexplainable. So we call ourselves this advanced civilization, but
Yeah.
we're a bit on the primitive side.
we really know nothing.
Yeah,
We really know nothing.
yeah, and I'm
You're
pretty
left-
sure of that.
They want to say that you're educated in school. Well, school doesn't, they touch on all this stuff, but they never ask the questions,
No.
and they never weigh all the options. That's what we're here. We're to discuss what if. What if there were
What if?
UFOs? We can assume that if they are, these travel very fast. They could be multi-dimensional. You never know. I mean, they could pop in and pop out.
Yep.
Um,
Wormholes,
exactly.
things like that. I mean, the speed of light is what, 186,000 miles per second.
It's fast.
Yeah, very fast. And so we have information that travels
Right.
that fast now. Imagine what was available back then for these. I would say just use the word people. These beings
Right.
that laid out all of this stuff. And why Earth?
Well, Earth is either one of many, 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 planets, or it's just one.
Yeah.
And that's all there is. And that's what I've been trying to figure out. I think that would answer a lot of questions. In
Yeah.
fact, it would probably answer most of my questions.
Yeah, well,
that
we've been told by science that there's at least 350 billion known galaxies out there.
and that's quote unquote science
Right.
telling us.
Exactly.
I don't see it. And those stars out in the sky,
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, they say these are all light or luminescence
Mm-hmm.
faraway planets and galaxies and stuff. And it's kind of nice to dream and think about, oh, that's very pleasant. That's beautiful. All those are all planets maybe, bursting with life.
Yep.
Or they could just be nothing.
Yep.
And they could just be small reflections in the sky. I don't know.
Yeah. Or some of our ancient folks, going way back when, believed that there was a veil over the sky.
Yeah, the firmament.
Yes, and then these stars
Were part of it.
were part of it, and
Yeah.
also were holes
Mm,
that allowed you to see the light from beyond
right.
the firmament.
And it may be
Which
water's
was all
above,
light.
and that's why they're blue.
Yeah.
If water is blue,
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's blue because
Yeah.
your folks told you it was blue.
I wish
somebody called it blue, and then everybody stuck with it.
I wish we could tackle easier subjects. This is, but maybe right now what we'll do is we should discuss about our personal, what we saw. And by the way, just a caveat before we start.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. You may be a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah.
No. I mean, we're very sane people. We're going to share this story. Don't think that just because we thought we saw, or maybe even really did in fact see a UFO,
Yeah.
that we're in altered states. Because, I can tell you this, a lot of people have had experiences and shared this. Now, I'm not saying I was abducted and brought on board. That's a different level of, and I do question, when I hear these stories.
Yeah.
People swear that they were abducted, but then again, but I know that
I wasn't there. So,
right. But when you hear my story, you can. I mean, I was just coming back from work or whatever. Do you want to start with your story?
Yeah, I could do that. Sure. I
Yeah.
was probably
Share. I've talked enough, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I was probably in elementary school.
And I want every detail.
Well, I'll give you what I can. I'm a child of the 70s.
What were you wearing? No.
Right? So, rock and roll took away a lot of my details. But I would say that I was in elementary school, and I used to ride my bike in an area called the cow pasture. And we called it that because there was no other word for it. It was just a big, huge patch of land.
Were there
where
cow patties?
Well, yeah, there were.
Okay.
And there were no houses that had been built there yet. So, it's just wide open land. And it was in a sort of a gully or a valley area. It wasn't up high, it was down low. And it was private property, and it was fenced, and you weren't allowed to be there, which was an open invitation for, kids in elementary school to go there.
Sure.
So,
Nothing like a no trespassing sign.
Right,
To,
and off we go.
invite
Just
kids.
grab the bikes and flashlights, and we're there. So we would ride our bikes through there, and just kind of have fun. And there was a stream and water, and you go there and now throw rocks and kid stuff, right? Long before iPhones. So we would actually go outside and play.
Sure. Yeah.
So one evening, and you're supposed to be, like that big joke that floats around the meme with the street light in the evening that's lit up, and the captions like, "How many remember what this means?" Right? Well, that means you get your butt home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was almost nightfall one night, and we were coming home from this cow pasture, me and a buddy of mine, and we saw this light in the sky, but not just not like a beam.
Not the street light, though.
No, not a street light, and not a beam or a ray, but a glow, which was very unusual because back then in this area where I'm talking about, there wasn't. It was suburban, so there wasn't like city lights, at night where you see the sky is lit up from the city and all that. So there was none of that there. Yet it seemed to be what you would see as city lights.
You had looked up in the sky enough to know what's normal. If you saw something abnormal or unusual, it would
Right.
catch your attention.
Right.
Sure.
So it seemed
Even
to
as
be
a
coming
child.
from where we just left.
Right.
So, not fearing getting in trouble, we went back, because it was way cooler and we would deal with it later. So we went back, and as we got closer to, remember we're on bicycles, so you can't go back that fast. But as we got closer to the pasture, we could see some form, which looked to be kind of a cross between a submarine and a disc. Like you would see these pictures of flying saucers. Only this was a bit more oblong. and taller, surrounded by light, and it was seeming to be landing in this pasture, and we just kept watching it, and it was just hovering.
Was it cigar shaped?
No,
or,
it wasn't cigar shaped.
Okay.
No, but
you said longer, so
yeah, more
just
like
oblique.
like a kazoo.
Ah,
Okay,
a kazoo.
yeah, like a kazoo with a
Right.
disc around it. Okay,
Yeah.
or like if you remember the
Wasn't
Starship Enterprise.
wasn't Kazoo
Yes,
the alien
the
on the
Flintstones.
Flintstones?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
nice.
Nice connection, right?
Hey, always connecting dots.
Or was that Gazoo?
It was Gazoo. Sorry,
Gazoo, yeah.
it wasn't Kazoo. I was like,
Okay.
when I said it, it seemed weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He was from
Close
Area
enough.
59, I think. Is
It's Area 56. You're so stupid. Okay.
So this kazoo-looking thing with a disc in the center, like almost like the disc that you would see on the front of the Starship Enterprise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so if you took like the Enterprise and collapsed it into a
Right.
flat piece with that kazoo-looking thing that hangs down,
Right.
and made it into that, it would be that. But it was small. It wasn't wasn't very large at all.
How big do you think? Like
I
10,
would
15
say,
feet or
I would
smaller?
say, just kind of recollecting, I would say probably not quite as long as a train car.
Mm.
So not like this huge thing, but
Right.
not as small as an automobile or something. But again, we were at a distance,
Yeah.
and it was far off into this pasture. It was a big piece of land. So we went as close as we could get from where we could see, because it was in the part of the pasture that you normally wouldn't see from the road. You had to actually like go through the trees and all that stuff and like climb around, because we knew where the light was coming from. We just couldn't see the actual source of the light from the regular way that you could get into the field.
Mm.
So we went through the trees, and as we got closer, it got brighter and brighter and brighter. And then as we came out of the trees and started to walk into the pasture, it was like this light, and it wasn't even the lights weren't even like sourced. It wasn't like, a big round disc with floodlights underneath, and you could see, like in Close Encounters where you saw the source of the lights and all that.
Right.
This was just a glow, like the whole thing was just glowing, almost like a luminescent. You would like you'd paint something with luminescent paint
Right.
and soak it in the light, and then take it out at night, and it would just glow.
Did you feel or sense it was something out of this world?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you had never seen anything like
Oh,
that. You
no,
just
nothing,
yeah.
nothing. I'm a kid too, and there was no
Right.
internet and
No,
cable TV or anything
Right.
like that. So as soon as we got closer to get a better look,
Mm-hmm.
it was like it just went completely dark, and then just was gone.
No way. Wow.
Just poof. Not even something that we witnessed it leaving. It was almost like it
Vanish.
yeah, like it went through a portal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then poof, gone. That
That's
was
like the multi-dimensional or the hyperspace that
Yeah.
some people, they
the Star
they
Wars
relate
thing.
Yeah, the Star Wars, but they relate it to this popping in and out
Yeah, almost
of
like a
this
Stargate.
dimension. Yeah, like a Stargate.
Yeah, and then that was it. That was gone. And of course, we couldn't tell anybody
Why not?
because they think we were crazy.
But why?
Because that's what it was back then.
Okay.
I mean, it's changed a little bit now because we have a little more,
Well, when I
connection
told
to
my
people.
coworkers that I saw it, they thought I was crazy.
Well,
That's
see,
the immediate. Yeah, and that wasn't that long ago.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, for me, it was
Years ago,
quite a
but-
long time ago.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I had a lot of experiences with things similar to UFOs, but not directly related. For example, I've seen random beams of light with no seeming source, just the beam itself. Example, if you take a flashlight at night and you shine it somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at the light, you can follow it back to source
Sure.
and see that it's coming from a flashlight. In this particular case, there was no source visible. It was just like a beam of light coming from like, a super strong flashlight.
Right.
But there was no front or back of
Yeah,
it.
you couldn't see anything that was related to it. All it was just the
Yeah,
light.
and you didn't know if it was coming from the left, from the right, or from the front or the back or anything like that. It was just
Excuse me.
there, this roll of light.
Wow.
Interesting. That was in Maryland, off of River Road one night.
No way.
Yeah, Yeah, by the old radio towers where they had radio towers over there off River Road.
But I didn't know that UFOs went into Maryland.
Yeah, no, it's right. They had to use the UFO lanes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
over the Cabin John or whatever.
yeah,
it's
because
called.
you can't fly over the Washington D.C. So I guess they
No.
didn't. They didn't really.
No,
They
and
don't
it
go
was-
by our rules.
Yeah, and it was low to the ground, whatever this was.
Right.
And then again, it didn't vanish like the first thing that I'd seen. It just slowly faded out.
Wow.
Just like like a battery would run low and then just off.
Just that one instance, or was there? You mentioned you felt you saw the beams, and anything else like just
No,
yeah.
just nothing that I could actually say
Right.
was concrete. I've seen over the years, things in the sky
Yeah.
that don't look like other things I've seen in the sky.
Right.
And these are in areas where there's a lot of flying activity and military and all that. But there are stuff out there that sometimes just didn't make sense.
Well, then I'm really whacked out then because I've had, I can say one definitely, but
Mhm.
I think I've had three.
Okay.
1, 2, or 3. One definitely, possibly 2, very possibly 3 situations where I can sit here and, like I said, I'm 100% positive I saw something that was not normal.
Yeah.
But so I could tell you,
Yeah.
I'll
Let's
tell
do
you about
number one.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about the most significant one.
Okay.
Because one of them happened in around college time, and like you, we were partying.
Yeah.
And it was at night. I'll get to that one, but the most profound one was one that literally changed my life.
Wow.
Because I mean, I came home like a sheet of white, and just trying to tell everybody about what happened to me because it was so wow. So here I'll tell you the whole. I'll tell you in detail because I have clear memory of this moment.
Yeah.
So like you, we were in the Washington area. I was coming out of Washington. Let's say it was after work, and it was early evening. It wasn't completely dark, but it was almost dark.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the
yeah.
one that I was explaining to you in this cow pasture.
Yeah.
It was in Bailey's Crossroads area of Alexandria, Virginia.
Well, I mean, this happens all across
Yeah.
the world,
Yeah.
and including, it doesn't matter where you are. We were just being funny that things don't fly into certain areas, but
Right.
hey, this is where we were.
Yep.
So I'm driving right outside Georgetown,
Okay.
coming up. There's a beautiful road called Canal Road,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of people have been stuck in traffic on that road.
Yeah.
No longer have to navigate that way. So the cool thing here is, so I have my sunroof back.
Yep.
Okay, because it's a warm evening. Not hot, but it's warm enough to put the sunroof back, and this is very important. And I have my windows slightly down, but not all the way down. And I'm driving. I'm all by myself, and I don't even think I have the radio on, which is probably unusual. And I'm driving, and all of a sudden I see something up in the sky.
Yeah.
And I kind of have my sunroof open, so I kind of peek through the sunroof. It wasn't opened all the way, and then I kind of, how you kind of put your head forward to try to look through the windshield, the upper
Yeah.
part of the windshield, trying to look up. I
So
saw.
first you saw it through the windshield, not through the sunroof.
Yeah. I know I saw
Something
I'm
caught your eye.
Yeah, something caught my eye.
Yeah.
It was in the sky, and of course, more than likely, it's a plane or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. But this was unusual. This wasn't way up in the sky. This was. I felt like I couldn't touch it, but it felt like it was near.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not even sure of the distance, 40, 50 feet up, maybe
Wow.
above. It's pretty close, but maybe even a little bit more than that. But it wasn't like really far off.
Yeah.
And what caught me was the lights. The lights were in a pattern. And I'm not joking.
Okay.
It was 2 triangles.
Okay.
And it
Were they point to point?
yeah, they were kind of they weren't point to
not
point.
flat to flat, but point to point,
Yeah.
or crisscross.
I drew this. I should have recanted my drawing. I said I knew it like back of my hand, but I just remember 2 triangles, and at each corner of the triangle there was a light source,
Okay.
like a glow.
Okay.
And it wasn't, and I'm getting further down the road because when I first saw it, I have to go through how I figured out what I was looking at.
Yeah.
When I look up in the sky, I go, oh, it's a plane, but it was flying so low. I go, well, that's not a plane.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I go, well, it's a helicopter, of course. But my sunroof was open, and I remember the music wasn't playing, and it was dead silence. In fact, it was the eerie silence, almost kind of like too quiet.
Like underwater silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost, and in that moment, it captured my attention, or I captured its attention.
Mm-hmm.
There was a connection. I can't explain, but when I felt it, I fully knew that this was something. I go, okay, it's a plane. No, it's not, because it's not moving and it's not making noise. So it's just hovering.
Yeah.
So it's a helicopter, but it's hovering and not making any noise.
Yeah, and they didn't make electric helicopters
Right.
back then.
So then I go to the third option and I go, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
There's something above my car with 6 lights or light sources in triangular pattern, very geometric, not very, almost like, I almost felt like I could just reach out there and almost grab it, but it and it was big.
Yeah. And on Canal Road, which would not be something that your typical aircraft could navigate.
No, and on that road you don't particularly go too fast either, so I wasn't whizzing by. And in fact, as soon as I kind of looked up, I slowed down.
Yeah.
And the bizarre thing was, I couldn't stop. I wanted to stop, but there were cars behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point where I remember when I kind of passed through and I had gone under it, I wanted to roll down my windows and put my arms out and kind of flag to everybody else that was driving on Canal Road, like, did you see that?
Right,
Like, and I think I might have even done that. I remember kind of flipping my arms going, what is that?
Yeah.
I was completely spooked.
Yeah.
It was so surreal. The lights, the geometric patterns that it had. It was triangular, but I couldn't see much. I couldn't see much detail because
and it stayed with you through as you were driving.
it was right above my car, and again, 50 to 100 feet, whatever it would be. Not that far.
So it wasn't really stationary then. It was
moving.
moving.
If it was moving, it was moving very slowly, but it was stationary, because that's how I saw it. It was just kind of floating there, and as I drove under it, I literally went under it.
Oh, so you felt yourself go under?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't moving, so that's why I thought it was maybe a helicopter,
Yeah.
but it wasn't making any noise. It didn't look like a helicopter.
Okay.
So, long story longer.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I felt a weird presence. And all the other times that I've encountered UFOs, I felt a weird presence. So I continued. I just drove home. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stop because, that road, there's no shoulder or anything.
No.
I went home, and I remember going to work the next day and telling people about it, and they're going, okay, well, you're beginning to flip out.
Yeah.
When I fully woke up.
You need some help.
Yeah, I need some help.
Yeah.
It was one of the most profound thing that ever happened to me, whether it happened to me in reality or whether I was shifted into a different dimension or something.
Yeah.
I can just, like I said, I know that something was different about it.
Yeah.
And it made me question my reality. After that, I started researching UFOs. I was going to all the stations, UFO, looking up this.
Yeah.
That's what kind of got me on my path to enlightenment, or I should say, waking up.
Yeah, and don't I mean, all of us do the same thing. As soon as we experience something, it catches our attention.
It catches your attention, and then you want to research it. You
Right.
want to see who else has had. I was almost to the point where I wanted to post something like, "Did anybody see this on Canal Road at 6:30 last night?" Or
Yeah.
I didn't know where to turn. I remember I even called FAA or whatever, asking them, was anything, nothing, just complete silence. I mean, I really heavily got into it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's how
And-
serious it was.
And this weird presence.
I felt like they kind of spoke to
Had
me.
weird presents for Christmas, but yeah. But no,
Yeah.
this weird presence, was it? I mean, was it just like an energy that you felt, or
Yeah. That's a great question.
Did it seem to communicate in some way, or want to communicate?
Yeah. It was so out there that I'd never felt anything like that. It
Okay.
was completely foreign.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was scary
Sort of
and
out of this world.
it was scary and it was kind of daunting. But at the same point, I didn't feel like I was threatened. I felt like I wanted to know more. I would have loved to stop the car
Right.
and get out and look up there. And why, looking back now, I would have. I would have been gladly to lose my rear bumper now if it
Yeah.
really was something to see.
So you were actually, rather than being fearful of it, you were drawn to it.
It seemed like I really was, yeah. And I sensed there was a higher intellect involved. And this is maybe I'm getting speculating a little bit too much here, but I can tell you,
Well, if something flies and hovers over you and you don't know what it is, then perhaps there is some
yeah,
higher intellect involved.
and I knew it wasn't anything that
pretty
I'd
safe
seen
assumption.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's the first one.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. Let's go back just
okay.
real quick because you got my
I
curiosity.
love your
up now.
questions. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So you get home. You've had the rest of your drive home to ponder this event
yeah.
that took place,
Yeah.
and you get home. Did you feel, as far as your own personal self, did you feel like a more of a melancholy, peaceful, tranquil kind of feeling, or were you just like tense?
Very similar to when I've had a lot of things happen in my life. It's amazing when I look back.
Yeah.
Similar to when I died and
Yeah.
I came back, I felt like there was a higher connection, and that I was being rewired, or a piece of me had begun to be plugged in to something that I had never felt or knew before, and was almost like being plugged in and getting an energy jolt.
Yeah.
It was invigorating, even though it was scary, and I didn't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary to the point where I feared it.
Yeah.
It was almost just unknown, but
it was
fascinating.
But it was harmonious.
Yes,
with you.
Yeah, it was. I didn't feel like it wasn't a part of me.
Okay.
Something I wasn't being repelled from.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So number two.
Yeah, number two, more like college. I hope I don't. I don't want to go on too long on all these stories, but this is the main focal point here. It was college, I remember, and it was nighttime, and this was full night.
Yeah.
And the sky was, it was pretty black. Sometimes the sky at night has a bluish hue, or it's dark, but it's not like black. Sometimes things get real dark. If you're in a rural area, you're away from lights and everything.
Pitch.
Yeah. So I remember, there might have been some drinking involved in this event. Not much. I was never a big drinker, and certainly there wasn't anything else majorly involved because I was a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
But I remember looking up and knowing it was nighttime, but I felt like something huge, black, massive, was floating above us, floating above me. I was with a group of people.
Okay. And you were where, like in a
See, that's just
what kind
it.
of geography setting?
We
was it?
were outside, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we were walking from one place to another, and I remember it being a fairly open area.
Okay.
But I had this event was actually before the other event, so
Okay.
okay,
Precursor.
yeah, it was. It wasn't nearly as I discarded it a lot more easily because in college, come on, you have to do a
Yeah.
lot to convince me.
Right.
Yeah. It. All I can tell you is the feeling. I really was scared with this one.
Yeah. Well, it seems that it was ominous.
It was ominous because it was like when you look up in the sky and the sky's up there, and then you can just kind of see out to the heavens.
Yeah.
This was almost a very black. It was almost as bigger than a football field.
Yeah.
Flying above my head in complete black mode.
Right.
Like no lights on it, nothing.
Not a cloud
Not
of
not
sorts,
a
but
cloud. Yeah, it was
definitely was.
pitch black.
Yeah.
And blacker than like when you look off to the side.
Yeah.
This thing was so big, it's like wherever you looked up, it was there.
Okay.
It was just massive. Again, I don't know if it was reality. Maybe it was just a weird moment, but it was the same eerie feeling. It was completely silent, but I knew something was up there. It was in the sky, and
you were with people.
I was with people.
Did you ask anybody else if they?
We
too
joked about it.
Saw it.
We all said, "Oh, look at that! The
Yeah.
sky's all black."
Yeah.
And the one guy said, What do you think that is?
Yeah.
And no one said anything.
Wow.
Yeah. And I looked up, and of course, I was feeling it. And I just knew, I just sensed it was, and I just felt like.
But this was now your first encounter with anything like
This
this.
is my first encounter, yeah. Okay.
Right.
So moving on, and I tell you all this because maybe people have had similar things. I mean,
Yeah.
as you listen, you're going to, a lot of people have had UFO moments.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an anomaly.
No.
So the third time was the most recent time, okay? And I was in a yard looking up at the sky, as I do more often now, because when you feel something out there, you have a connection.
Yeah.
So I enjoy looking at stars. I'm constantly looking at the moon and trying to figure out what the heck is out there. This was sometimes you'll see a shooting star.
Yep.
Okay. And you know what a shooting star looks like. And it falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And it's very quick and it's very fast. But it's a shooting star.
Yeah.
This was something mechanical. I can't say it was a plane, shot across the sky faster than I've ever seen anything in my life.
Right.
And it went to a point, and then it made a turn, and then it just disappeared. And I have no idea what it was. This was the shortest event.
Yeah.
This lasted seconds.
Yeah.
And I only caught a glimpse of it because I was looking up, and all of a sudden, you see something shoot across the sky,
Right.
catches your eye. And unfortunately, I didn't see the beginning, but I saw enough of it to see it make a streak across the sky, and it left a mark.
Yeah. Now, was this dark? Or
No.
was
It was
nighttime?
light.
It was day. It was still daytime.
No. This was nighttime again.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe nighttime is.
Yeah, but the thing itself was lit.
It was lit.
Okay.
It was very bright, and that's why. And it wasn't like a star. It was actually like an orange thing.
Okay. Like somebody
Streaking across it,
throwing a gigantic sparkler.
but faster than I've ever seen.
Okay.
I mean, I've never seen anything move so fast in my life.
Did it move in its entirety, or did it leave a trail?
Yeah, it left a trail
Okay.
because it was moving so fast. Anything moving that fast, whether it would be lit or not, is going to leave
Some
sort of trail.
Yeah.
But it was basically, it wasn't leaving anything behind. It was just so fast, and I'm talking 5,000-6,000 miles an hour. I've never seen anything move so quickly. It wasn't a meteor. Well, who knows? I'm just going to leave it open because I'm not going to suggest that it's a UFO, but who knows?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I know. So that's that.
And that these three events were over a period of what, maybe 10 years?
No, one happened in college, and then the two within the last, we'll just say within the last 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
So over a 25-year span.
Okay.
But not really anything else. Other weird stuff's happened, but
Yeah.
as far as my personal UFO, and I'm being completely open here, I'm not trying to embellish anything.
Yeah.
In fact, I probably understated, what I really felt and the event. So.
Well, it's too bad you didn't have any pictures. We could hold them up to the mic.
Well, sure, yeah, and now everybody has a
Sorry
cell phone.
to joke, but I mean, when you look at stuff like that and you have a personal experience with something like that,
Right.
and then you share that experience with somebody, as you're doing today, a lot of people would just give you that look like, yeah, whatever, right? But that's so frustrating because you had that experience, and what may be truth for you may not be truth for someone else. It might be your own personal truth, but perhaps those experiences were for you, not just evidenced by you, but specifically for you, for some purpose.
As unimportant or as important as that may be, I believe that. I subscribe to thinking that these were things that I was supposed to see or helped me along with self-discovery.
Yeah.
Of my journey.
Yeah.
And I think that when I came here, I didn't want to make it too easy for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here, just open this up and here's the secrets of life.
Yeah.
I wanted to have to go through, the whole motion.
Yeah.
And these were pivotal moments that helped enlighten me, to
Sure.
maybe what if.
Yeah. I mean, I look back on my life. Well, actually, on life, my experience of life.
Sure.
And it's really not our life; it's life, and we experience it. But I look back on it and go through the years, and I think I've had many hardships, many tribulations, trials, illnesses, car accidents. I mean, surgeries. I mean, you go. Through
Remember,
the
I
whole
want
thing,
you to
right?
focus on positive things, okay?
Yeah, but I'm getting there. It just
Okay.
this is part of the
No,
trail.
I understand. You're doing great.
So when I look back on all that stuff, I have no regrets of any of it
No, it's all you.
because it's brought me to exactly where I am right now.
If you have
And
regrets,
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know, I really am. I'm good with that. I mean, I believe that I have a great distance to go still.
But you are beautiful and connected, and you've been told that you're insignificant when in fact you're a lot more a part of everything.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is messaging that's coming to us. Now the question is, are UFOs real? Could I have seen maybe something that was government? Because say there are downed UFOs, maybe Roswell, they've possibly reversed engineer all this stuff and tried to figure out levitation or anti-gravity. I hate using the word gravity because I still am grappling with gravity.
Yeah.
I believe that maybe up is up and down is down, and the weight of things is just what causes it.
Yeah. We haven't fallen off the earth at night.
Well, yeah, and those
so-
guys at the bottom of the earth, why haven't they fallen
Right.
off? But
so that's
I don't
something that I pondered as a child. I feared nighttime because I thought I was going to fall off. So anyway, looking at the UFO stuff, obviously that if in fact it isn't a quote figment of our imagination, and there's millions of people literally
Right.
who've had these experiences. So more than likely, it would be safe to say that there is some form of higher intelligence behind this stuff.
Well, I think that's where we're getting to. There has to be something. If we're one planet of many,
Mm-hmm.
then life could be steaming and existing on so many other places, and so that's just the way it is. And these entities are coming here supposedly, and this is a form of travel. Or some people say, well, UFOs aren't real, and if there are extraterrestrials, they're more multidimensional, where they don't need the use of a spaceship. That's almost as if it's that's antiquated. Why do
Yeah.
they need anything?
Yeah, they could just teleport.
Right, they could teleport if they're of the highest intellect
Mm-hmm.
and the highest conscious power. Then why would they even need any of this? But then again, it makes for a great
It
story.
might be for our benefit. It might be a show.
It could be, and
Yeah.
it could all just be for this one show. But
Yep.
there's an agenda where people are pushing. You've heard of this disclosure
Mm-hmm.
project.
Yeah.
I forget the guy's name, but they've had a lot of disclosures of UFO information and sightings.
Mm-hmm.
But when you trace back who puts the disclosure out there and also who sponsors like UFO TV,
Yeah.
there's money and manipulation that's coming from a source.
Yeah.
So we could just lay it out like this. You can believe what you want to believe, but here's a theory. Here's an idea.
Yeah.
Perhaps, and this gets back to Werner von Braun and what he told his assistant a long time ago before he passed away.
At NASA.
Yeah. Everything has been done for a reason, an agenda. Perhaps UFOs, all this stuff is not real. And just bear with me. I don't want to piss off anybody that's come finally to the conclusion that UFOs are real.
Yeah.
They may be. I'm not saying they're not, but here's another idea. They've rolled all this out to make us believe. And you're going to go, why? Well, it could be multi-pronged, but one reason is to disconnect us from who we really are and our true reality. Put it this way. The UFO phenomenon doesn't really sync up with God. It's just like, okay, so there's this other life form. Maybe there's a God for everything, but what it does, it kind of takes away from possibly our real true origins. Or maybe that is our true real origins.
Or maybe that is God.
Or maybe that is God.
That's
Exactly.
why we ask
But-
questions.
And so this whole subject is confusing. It's fearful because we fear what if these aliens come down. I mean, every movie has conditioning for us to think that these are scary monsters.
It's never a good
and
thing.
why an alien always has to go instead of, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah,
You think if they're of an intellect, then they're going to come to us and maybe, like Klaatu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He came to us.
My favorite albums.
Not the band.
Oh, sorry.
Klaatu from, the day the Earth stood still.
Yes.
Yeah,
Day the Earth stood still.
1951, I think.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe at the end I'll read a little bit of what Klaatu.
I didn't like the remake on the
No.
film.
The original was good.
Yeah.
But you bring up such a great point here. In discussion, what really is the point behind all this? Is it to influence us to get us away from knowing the truth?
Yeah.
Or, here we go, could it be they still want to lead us to believe that UFOs, aliens are real? And at some future point, the powers that be, the people that have been, we'll call it the new world order, the people that,
for lack of a better
for
term,
for lack of a better term, the people that have, owned us all for a long time.
Right.
They want to instill an event that say that we're invaded.
Yeah.
Just like in the movies, and that's how we've been conditioned to think that there's going to be some sort of alien invasion.
Yeah.
UFOs come down, and they're going to kill us all.
Yeah.
And
unless we give them all our money.
Exactly. So what it comes down to is, if there's a threat, and Ronald Reagan spoke of this too, if there was an external threat that came to Earth, imagine all the countries, what they would do. We would unify.
Yeah.
We would all come together, really.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't want to fight with each other.
Yeah. Just like in the movies.
Our fight would be with the unknown. Yeah. So what we'd have to do is pool all our resources and, most importantly, all our money. Yeah. So we'd have to literally create Earth-based weaponry against this evil force.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Because
see
they're
where
always
this is
evil.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the greatest war.
Yeah.
And the most expensive one. I wouldn't know what, because obviously a little pea shooter's not going to do much to these horrible aliens.
Hollywood's proven that.
Yeah,
right?
Hollywood's proven that. So lots of just different things.
But the other thing of this, the other side of this coin, okay, and it's a multifaceted coin, is that you know as well as I do that sometimes the greatest way to hide something is right under your nose.
Correct.
So, and Hollywood has a way of doing this all the time. They present stuff in movie form that we would think would just be absurd had it been real, when in fact it is real.
Right.
And they're just saying, here's some entertainment for you. So you hide it right under their nose, and they don't see it, or they don't recognize it for what it is. Mm-hmm. So when we're looking at these strange lights at night, or these UFOs, these ships, these things that go flying by at excessive speed, it might very well be that that's what it is, and they just don't want to tell us about it. You go back to Roswell, you go back to Area 51, you go back to the Greys, you go back to these bodies that they supposedly have that they've saved for science and to look at, but nobody really knows.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to skirt over that scenario.
Yeah,
that was the more obvious scenario, that they are real, but they don't want us to know they're real to protect us for some reason.
Right.
But does that make sense? When was the last time governments or agencies were protecting you from something?
Yeah.
Tell me, seriously. It does.
I only have recorded history to show you.
So I'm thinking this is layered. I think this is a lot more complex, and somehow if we go back to the source, we'll figure it out. But it's not as easy as just. And the weird thing is, they kind of seep out this information, conditioning through TVs, television, and movies and everything else. And there's just tons of memorabilia and everything else. And look at Star Wars, how popular that.
Oh yeah, Star Trek, and,
all of it,
all of that. And just real quick, a quick question, because I think it's important. Do you know who owns more telescopes in this
Hubble?
earth than yeah
No.
than anyone else.
No, I have no idea.
The Catholic Church.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, the Vatican owns more telescopes
Wow.
and more observatories than
Right.
anyone else.
And when you go to the Masonic temples,
Mhm.
they have a room that has everything about space
Yeah,
and about astronauts.
and
Astronauts.
Yes, and
Kind of play on words. They're not.
astrotheology as well.
So it's just, I really believe that there's an agenda either to make you believe or make you believe and then make you then victimize you because you're stupid for believing, and then they've outed you.
Yeah,
Who knows? But it's like I said, it's layered.
yeah.
I couldn't sit here right now and tell you that we're going to be invaded tomorrow because I have no idea. And if it does come, you've heard it from us. It may be faked. And Werner von Braun told his assistant before he died, he said, when you hear of an invasion and they start rallying the countries together to fight these people, you'll know it's not real.
Yeah.
And
False flag.
Right, because everything has been very compartmentalized from what's going on up there, and we didn't even get into the moon landings, and for good reason. That's a totally different topic.
It is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at some point, but that plays into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
But this
all
way,
of that, and then you look back at, okay, for example, a lot, like I mentioned Hollywood. A lot of stuff comes out from Hollywood films that motivates us to, apply more critical thinking. For example, 1999, it's The Matrix.
right.
Matrix comes out, you go see it, and you're like, wow. I mean, this was just amazing. It was just absolutely amazing.
Well,
to
it
me.
makes you question your reality.
It does.
Yeah.
And so when you see that, and you see that perhaps all of this is a projection or a hologram from somewhere else. I mean, we're really good now. You can get online with video games and play online with thousands of people in these simulated video games.
Right.
And it's very real. And the only thing that has to happen on your screen is whatever you're involved in at that moment.
Right.
You don't have to, if you're in a restaurant, okay, having a drink, that's all needs to be presented to you. You don't need to do the whole earth.
Right.
You just need that one thing, that one little program, you see. So if much of this could possibly be a program or some form of projection from elsewhere into this behind our eyes,
Right.
then maybe that's all part of it as well.
Well, we can go into the simulation or the simulated reality topic. We've really talked a lot about the UFO, and it left us very short on time to talk about this because we don't want to keep you hanging on too long. But we will do a little bit on it, and maybe we can do more another time.
Sure.
But I believe that there's great evidence, and this really plays into the UFO thing too, that we are in a simulated reality, and there's much evidence that supports that. I'd like to think simulated is maybe not even the best word. I think it's a quantum reality because quantum suggests it encompasses everything with physics, science, and mathematics. Put it this way. If your reality is simulated, that means it's programmed.
Sure.
And if it's programmed, it's not too dissimilar than a computer program.
Yeah.
Who's the programmer?
Right.
Who designed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Who's
this
the
gets
architect?
back. Who's the architect?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's simulated, what is it simulated from? That means it existed before.
Yeah.
Okay. Simulation is the word root, I guess, comes from similar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's
yeah.
I actually have a definition here. But,
And what would be the reason or the purpose to do this?
right.
And would it need to have one?
It
See,
could-
we're always looking for reasons and purpose in stuff. But
Yeah.
for some, perhaps this architect, it's just fun.
And yeah, and when I don't mean to be funny to use because we are quantum flow, but I believe that it's quantum because it's quantifiable, because it envelops everything, and everything can be, we know what an atom's made of.
Right.
It's virtually made of nothing.
Right.
Well, you're quantifying it, correct?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So, when you boil it all down, matter's not even really there.
Yeah, it's
an
mostly
illusion.
Yeah.
So this simulation could just be a computer generated program of which our biological bodies, very human and scientific, yet we are completely part of a program.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, you can change your program.
Yes.
See?
Yeah.
Even though it's pre-programmed, it doesn't mean that you can't go in there and
Override.
Override, yeah. And
If you have the code.
you need the code.
Yeah.
Or the key.
The key.
The key code.
Yes. But that is, it harkens back to Star Trek Next Generation, where they had the holodeck, and there was the guy there that realized that he was in a simulation, and that some people in this simulation existed, for example, out there, and he wanted to go out there. So it was all very much like.
And where does there end?
Right.
That's another question.
Right. So it was very much like in the Matrix, where in here, out there, what is real, what is not real, blue pill, red pill. I mean, all of that stuff.
There was several movies. I mean, there was The Matrix, but then you had the Truman Show,
Oh, wow.
Truman,
Yeah.
which shows you maybe we are living in a
Simulation.
constructed simulation. Dark City, Vanilla Sky,
Yeah.
Eternal Sunshine
Yeah.
of Being,
Yeah.
with Jim Carrey. We
Yep.
talked about him before. All these movies came out around a similar time. I believe there was a shift in consciousness that was occurring. And on a subconscious, creative level, all these movies came to be because it was all messaging that we needed at that time. If it was before that time, we would have never embraced it.
Yep.
And obviously now we've progressed so far since then. It had to be introduced at that time.
And what better way to take your medicine than have it flavored with chocolate?
Sure. Well,
so
if
they
you're
make a movie out of it.
it seems to be the way. And again, is it being created on purpose, or is it just being created on a subconscious level through a whole collective group of people that it's just supposed to happen? It wasn't like some guy scratching his head or a girl saying, "Oh, I'm going to put a movie out," or But these movies were all based on books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those books, the authors of those books were
Sophia.
Yes, were given information.
I've talked to her.
Yes,
Yeah.
information.
I won't mention her last name because she wants to be private. I might have mentioned her last name before, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, this information, these movies, and what better way to present information to the masses than through entertainment? People want to be entertained. They like watching movies. I like watching movies. You like watching movies.
Well, it's a passion I have, and I really believe that. I wouldn't say that my education is solely on movies. The way I watch them now is for entertainment purposes, but a lot of messaging is being telegraphed, and coded information is being brought to you. And if you pay attention, it's like entertainment on many levels.
Yeah, and we know beyond the shadow of a doubt that there are forces that are greater than we are, that are keeping us in some form of alignment.
Right.
In our advancement.
I'm going to take 30 seconds. I'm going to just tell you, here's kind of just a few bullet points that might support the fact that this is a simulated reality.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned it's quantum and it's computable. Everything, everything behind our reality. There's a Fibonacci or a number system. There's something beautiful to it. It all makes sense. And you'd have to have knowledge of everything if you were the creator of it, right? And what better way to do it? You'd make nature beautiful, and you'd make the mathematics brilliant,
right?
Which it is.
Yes.
Nothing short of that. Our reality is pixelated.
Yes.
So I mean that's a computer program. Every picture you take, it's all made of pixels, and our reality is pixels. And if you go down to the subatomic level, it's fractals. It's just repeating bits of information.
Yeah, exactly. Bits. Exactly.
Bits and bits.
Yep.
And again, atoms. We talked about atoms. 99.99999 nothing.
Yep.
Just nothing.
Yep.
So
Well, what we think is nothing.
What we think of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's actually holding the something together?
Which basically, if that was true, all the mass of the world could be put in your hands.
Yeah.
Meaning just take all the air out of it. Imagine.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty scary.
Yeah.
So
not much.
So this wall here and everything you're seeing
Yep.
is really just an illusion.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
Yep.
You love this one. The act of observation
Yes.
changes things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you're in the computer program, you're interactive with it, you're
Right.
changing it.
Yep.
It's not like the program's there and your interaction has no bearing on it.
And the observed must have an observer.
Exactly. And it doesn't happen unless it is being observed. So, in essence, none of this could actually be occurring without our involvement.
If a tree falls in the woods, and
Oh
there's
gosh,
nobody
you have
there
to go
hear
there.
it. Yeah.
But
So-
you don't remember anything before you're born,
Right.
But then that's the deal you made. But the thing is that right now in this reality, we don't have knowledge beyond what we this one wavelength of time.
Yeah.
So, and then matter and energy, they're linked.
Always.
Yes, and so
Thank you, Albert.
yes, so energy, you can't really see, but matter you can.
Yeah.
But they're linked, and they all bring us information.
Yeah.
So this is the information age. It's just hey, and then
Information.
right.
So when we can. Okay, so you can tap on this. Right, I'm tapping on this piece of plastic, but if you put it under a microscope, you'll see that it's not solid.
No.
It's just living cells with a certain level of consciousness, always moving, always changing, which is what everything's all about. And you and I, as an observer, have the power to change what is being observed. And if we're not
Right.
there's nothing to observe.
Yeah. Just to highlight one little topic about this, we have to talk about CERN just real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
So, CERN,
Yeah.
it's where Geneva, right?
Yeah,
And
all the
it's
way, all the way through Switzerland and
yeah,
into.
it's a scientific laboratory that is a very large. It's the largest hadron collider in the world.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do there, and we'll short circuit you can look it up, but basically, they're trying to get into the parallel universe. It's the collider, I guess, works with particles.
Yeah.
And
It's a particle collider.
yeah, and if what this machine does, it creates so much energy that it puts it outside, I guess, of this reality. That's what they're trying to do. They're actually trying to find the God particle, if there is one.
Yep.
I know there is one.
Yep.
It just may not be what they're thinking. But they're trying to get to the other side, and it's exactly what you said about portals.
Yep.
They're trying to go outside.
Yeah, and this hadron collider is a beast.
Well, it's more than
and it's billions and billions and billions of dollars that are at stake.
Yeah,
in this project, and they could blow us out of the galaxy if they wanted.
I wonder
to.
who's paying for it.
I don't
we may
know.
have some ideas.
Yeah.
It's definitely European money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the collider, if you look at the CERN, spelled CERN,
Yeah.
if you look at their logo,
Yeah.
well, it's got 666 on it.
Oh.
So that tells you something. So we can ask the question, scientific or demonic? I think I know the answer, but we'll leave that out to, whoever for interpretation.
Sure.
But this may not be where we need to go because we may be opening up a bad can of worms.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk is as thrown under the bus as he's been recently.
Yeah.
He talked about this and he warned us that things could be very messy if we continue down this road. And we should probably hold up there. We could have gotten into a little bit to the AI, but I just think it's just too much.
Yeah.
We could save AI, artificial intelligence, because that's where we're trending next. If this is a simulated reality, then very easily there could be artificial intelligence to rival our human so-called intelligence. But then again, maybe we're artificial too.
Right. I remember,
Artificial making artificial intelligence. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Do you remember that the time when the world, I forgot his name, the world's greatest chess player at the time, when he was beaten.
Fischer? Bobby Fischer? No.
No.
Lavrov.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Sid Belsberg.
Yeah. Yeah, that was him.
That was a friend of mine.
Yeah. And so was actually beaten by the app,
The computer.
the computer.
Yeah.
So that was pretty amazing, and the things that we're able to do. I mean, looking back, for me, I mean, I remember when Pong came out, and you were playing Pong, right? And now you look at
Loved
some
it.
of these NBA games, and car chases and stuff like that, and it's just getting more and more realistic to the point where it's almost, with the right perception, could step out of that screen and actually become a hologram and exist right here with us.
The advancement that we've made personally on the technological, what number is that? 120.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Technological.
Technological advancements that we've made. It's unbelievable how we've gone from Pong to Grand Theft Auto looking as real as it. I don't play it, but you look at these video games now.
Oh yeah.
And we're making artificial reality so real.
Yep.
It's cool, but where is this going? And
Yeah.
is it really making our life better? Maybe
Yeah.
it helps us with certain things, but
Yeah.
does it increase the love vibration? I don't know.
I don't know. My son was in town not long ago, and he brought with him, his video stuff,
Right.
and he was playing one of his football game things, and I happened by the big screen on my way to the kitchen, and I genuinely thought he was watching a football game. The graphics were that amazing, that it looked so real, that it could have very well have been a live football game that I was watching on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine where we'll be 10 years from now, or 100 years from now, or 1,000 years from now.
Right.
Will we even know what is real and what is not?
I was hoping we would know now.
And do we even know what real is? So these are all questions that we're always seeking the answers for, and that's why you and I meet here and have these discussions and these shows.
Absolutely.
I'm going to throw it to you as we close this thing.
Well, I was Klaatu is the extraterrestrial that came down in the movie. The day the Earth stood still.
Yeah.
And he was very profound. And should I read it? It's
Yeah.
a little long, but
It's okay.
it's
Go
kind
for
of his words are very telling.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts us in our place because if there is higher intelligence, an intelligence that could make, a UFO or a flying saucer, certainly they would have advanced intelligence as to what this is all about, and they would rise above the fray, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Know the stuff that doesn't work.
Exactly right. And so he's helping us. He's giving us advice, whether asked for or not.
Yeah.
So Klaatu says, I am leaving soon, and you will forgive me if I speak bluntly. The universe grows smaller every day, and the threat of aggression by any group anywhere can no longer be tolerated. There must be security for all, and no one is secure. Now, this does not mean giving up any freedom except the freedom to act irresponsibly. Your ancestors knew this when they made laws to govern themselves and hired policemen to enforce them. We of other planets have long accepted this principle. We have an organization for the mutual protection of all planets and for the complete elimination of aggression. The test of any such higher authority is, of course, the police force that supports it. For our policemen, we create a race of robots. Their function is to patrol the planets in spaceships like this one and preserve the peace. In matters of aggression, we have given them absolute power over us. The power cannot be revoked. At the first sign of violence, they act automatically against the aggressor. The penalty for provoking their action is too terrible to risk. The result is we live in peace, without arms and armies, secure in the knowledge that we are free from aggression and war, free to pursue more profitable enterprises. Now, we do not pretend to have achieved perfection, but we do have a system, and it works. I came here to give you these facts. It is of no concern of ours how you run your own planet. But if you threaten to extend your violence, this Earth of yours will be reduced to a burned out cinder. Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you. And that's Klaatu. So I guess on that note, what else is there to say? What a packed subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and boy, time flew.
Crazy. Well, it's been enjoyable.
Yep. Thanks for all the information. Thanks for sharing your stories with us.
Thanks, and I'll see you on the other side of the moon.
Yep. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.
You've been listening to Quantum Flow Radio. Email us online at quantumflowradio@gmail.com.